Hello friends, we're back at it again with Zentangle Day 5, and today we got two new patterns that we're going to learn, as well as a technique called a sparkle. And to begin, you're going to make sure you have a pencil, and an eraser hopefully, and a pen and or a marker. You could use either or and or both. So I'm going to set these aside real quick, and before we get started, I want to make sure that you're designing your card. So remember to be sure to draw your 4 dots, then move over into connecting those dots in an interesting way. And then from there, you're going to fill in your area with a line like a piece of string. And what this is going to do is, this is going to separate our cards into sections. And in these sections, we're going to add our new patterns and use some old patterns to help create our very own Zentangles today. Remember, you always want to do things in pencil first, as you can't erase pen. But you know what? Sometimes that's okay too. Sometimes figuring out how to work around something is just as important and creative as not. Alright, so Zentangle Day 5. Here is our new patterns. Let me set this aside real quick for us. Alright. So I had to do a little prep work here for this pattern called the Isochor, because it's kind of an odd pattern. And just to explain how this works, we're going to have an area, and in that area we're going to add some circles. These are meant to just be visually interesting. Now, once we add these circles, and they can be anywhere, it adds a little interest. You can kind of see the third step here. After we have these circles kind of drawn in, what we're going to do is we're going to use curved lines to kind of create this idea, or this concept, that this object is actually round. And if we have smaller sections, we can also curve those lines. Now, once we're done, we'll erase our pencil line around the outside and shade in so that this looks like a full volume. And these little circles, they're kind of sitting on top of things, almost like where two things meet. They're kind of sitting in the crevices. And again, this is to add a little visual interest. Now, also, when I'm doing this, I want to point out little sections like this in these curves. These little breaks are actually called sparkles. And sparkles are just a way to create a little visual interest while you're drawing. And it's a good way to, just add a little variety. And this, the idea behind this would be that light is catching this area. So you don't really see the line. It's super bright there. So even that curved line gets kind of blotted out. Now, Isochor, if you're not careful, it can be a little confusing because you have all of these curved lines kind of going a direction. So to show you how this works in a space, what I've done is I went ahead and kind of drawn a hypothetical card here, as you see. I have some patterns from last week. I have some patterns from the first couple of days. And from, it was a good smattering here of the last 4 days. And what I do is I have this nice big open area, and I'm going to use this area to create a nice core pattern similar to this. It's just going to be one area, and I'm going to round things out and shade it in. All right. So to do this, I highly recommend you start in pencil. And what we're going to do is we're going to decide whether we want our curve to go this way or this way. And I'm thinking I'm going to go this way with my curve. So kind of like down. All right. And a good way to start this is at the end, just so you can like work your way, or this end, work your way. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to also kind of start in the middle and then start to kind of separate and divide things out. Because with lines like this, you could easily decide, hey, is this going to look right? Is this going to be right? So you kind of see what I'm doing here. Now, as this gets closer to the end here, I'm going to maybe move a little closer together. kind of like as something is curving, that inside lane is tighter and tighter. Now if I mess up here, I can erase, or I can just kind of remember where I messed up. That way I'll know when I go back in and do this with pen. I'm going to erase a little bit because I didn't like the way that was looking. So I'm shooting for consistency. Almost looks like a croissant roll or something like that, or a little bug. All right, now I'm going to grab my pen and I'm going to put some sparkles in here just to show you what this looks like. So yeah, going over my pencil lines now. If you do sparkles and you're skipping these little areas, you don't have to do it in every one. It can just be kind of like a here and there thing. Or, you know, you could do it in every one, and it'd be an all the time thing. You may notice as I'm drawing here that I'm kind of correcting over my pencil lines. This is a good reason to draw with pencil. So you have like an idea of where the line is supposed to be, and then if you need to make edits or changes, you're able to on the fly very quickly. All right. So now that I have that drawn in, I have these curved lines drawn in here. I'm going to go through, carefully erase my pencil marks. I'm doing so very cautiously and lightly. I'm not trying to smear my ink at all. And I'm even erasing that part of that card there, that outside edge, you know, because the rest of these edges are already filled in, so I don't have to be so particular here. But yeah, so check it out. You can kind of see the idea of this curved shape kind of in this area. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade in this guy, and what I want to say here is, because of these sparkles, I know that light is kind of in this curved area. So I know that's an area that's not really going to receive a lot of light, but I'm going to shade this kind of like I've been shade this kind of like how I have been shading a lot of Zentangles. I'm going to start by adding a little graphite on the edge, and then I'm going to kind of smear in a curve along the contours, that's a word you should know, along the contours of this object. So I'm going to use that implied line I have now. It was an actual line. Now it's implied line. And I'm going to smear, 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 smear up. And I'm going to do the same for this side here. Add a little graphite on the edges, and I'm going to smear with that curve, okay? And this should give me a little, give me a second. My version of smearing for the video with this gray marker. Although it is visually effective. All right. And then, once I've kind of smeared my graphite around, again, kind of leaving this area open, I'm going to come back again with my pencil, and I'm going to darken in this edge, and I'm not really going to smear it too much. Kind of goal here is to make it look darker as it closes the end or the edge of this rounding, because this would be an area where there is no light. And you know what? I just realized, talking about making mistakes and stuff, I didn't draw any little circles. You know, that was kind of the first step here. So now you know what I have to do. I got to go back and find a little area those could fit in. So even though that was the first step, and hopefully you noticed that I missed that, because if you did, you're doing better than I am right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in and I might add those little circles. You know, I think I forgot about it because I used this pattern here already, just not thinking. But it looks like there's some great areas around here that I could add some little circles. Now, if you're using graphite on this edges here, 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 this might be a little easier to do, but if you already went over in pen, this can be a little harder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a couple of areas in here. You know what? Because this end's kind of weird, I'm definitely gonna add some circles over here. That's something I think I can add, and then I kind of want a couple in here. Now, again, these might be a little more difficult to kind of get because of they're over something. But you know what? I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna see what we can do. I may need to go with a little bit of white out or a little bit of a white color pencil here. And sometimes you make mistakes and you gotta find a way to fix them, you know? And that's okay. I do have a way. That's the wrong marker. There we go. So, mistakes are part of this. You know, you make a big oof and you gotta make it work. Great lessons to have. So, you know, if it happens, you just gotta find a way to fix it up, right? And then when you're done, you know, I'd probably never know, right? I got some dots built in. You know, I might put a couple over here as well now that I have a way to do it. But this is Isochor, and yeah, pretty interesting little pattern. Kind of like, I think it's like a little worm-like, or I don't know. But there we go. All right. Our next pattern is called Printemps, and this is an interesting pattern. It's just spirals. That's it. It's just a bunch of spirals. So if we have like a shape here within our card, and we're trying to fill it with a pattern like this, we're going to start by just drawing different size spirals. So maybe in some larger areas, we can put some bigger spirals, right? And I can leave little spots open like that as our sparkles, right? Let's see here, do a little more careful. You can change the direction of your spiral too, if you'd like. I always find that I mess it up when I do that. Let's see if I can't. No, that's the same. Hey, there we go. Right, so you can, you know, we're just gonna fill in this little area. Now, these little spaces here, don't really worry about them. Don't worry about filling them in right now. It's not like super important here. I like this is almost like a little kind of oceany, I think, like little barnacles on something. Now for this one, I'm going to let it go behind what's in front of it. And that is something else you can do with this one. You can let them kind of stack on top of one another. And when you stack, you know, it shows that this is overlapping. That's a good way to show space, right? Also, if I have this pencil line that is this kind of outside edge, I could also do like, maybe this one's cut off by another pattern that's over there. Yeah. But yeah, so you're gonna have a variety of spirals here. Add a couple of sparkles if I can. Can put some things behind if I want to, just for some visual interest and intrigue. Here's here's another area where I kind of have this open spot. I might just do one that's like this, like you can't even see the rest of it, like it would be a big one, but it's being covered up by another pattern in our Zentangle list. I could also do some really tiny ones if I wanted to. You know, got some nice little spots I can fill in like that. But just a variety. You just want like a good variety of spirals. And like I said, I like to think of these as like almost like nautiluses, or you know, something we might find at the beach. We kind of get comfortable drawing spirals in one direction. I think that's pretty interesting. And then once you kind of get comfortable drawing it one way, you find it difficult to draw the other way. And I don't know if this is one of those like on the opposite side of the world the water spins the other direction in a toilet thing. I'm not quite sure. Some spirals have a lot more spirals, like rounds, than others. Kind of got a big area here, but I'm just going to leave it alone. Could also think of these as like honey buns or something, you know, because they're spirally. All right. Now, in any open areas you have a few options. You can just add lines, kind of like there would be a spiral here, just to add some visual interest. Or when we come back in shade, we'll kind of lightly fill those areas in to show depth. All right. But yeah, so now you can kind of see the outline of my pencil where I had things drawn. I got this nice area filled in. I'm going to go around a little bit and erase my outside edge because I don't need it anymore. And then I'm going to go through and shade this guy. So this one's a little different too, because what we do is we shade each little spiral itself. And we're going to like say that the sun's coming this direction. So we just got a little bit of gray on the edge here. And I'm just going to kind of smear that up kind of towards myself a little bit. Just a little bit there. And I'm just going to go through and kind of do that on each one of these guys. And if I have any ones that are like, you know, half in, I'm still just going to worry about that edge. So I might only have like a little bit of gray right there. And that's okay. This would also be a good time to come in and fill in any little holes with a little bit of a lighter gray. Just kind of go light. You don't have to be super heavy on this one. Not really trying to hide anything. We're just trying to create a little depth here. Now these ones I got like super behind. You know, I might fill those in just a little bit more because we have that overlapping. Like right in here, there's like a nice overlap area. I might shade a little more extra there. You know, I got areas like this probably wouldn't get shaded at all because the light's hitting it. in a different spot. All right, so now that I've come in and I've shaded very lightly, I'm going to come back in, back with my pencil. I'm just going to go a little darker, closer to the edge here. Just again, kind of similar to our last card. We're trying to show that this thing's getting a darker around the edge here, all right? In doing this patterns together, I found it a little tempting once I learned about the Printemps pattern to do my circles that I would add to my Isochor pattern as spirals. I thought that might be interesting. This kind of combining of the two things. You know, maybe that's something you could try out. Maybe that's something I'll try out here in a few. All right, I'm going back in with my darker marker, or sorry, my shade, my darker shade here with my pencil, and I'm, you know, just adding shadows where they're supposed to be little shadows, just to get my little darker areas darker, right? And that's kind of it, you know. This is the two new patterns for the day. I hope you quite enjoyed them. They're a little more nature-esque, kind of squiggly wiggly. But I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I'll see you guys soon.